Welcome to the Rival Fantasy Baseball Show. I am Neil and he is Brian. What up, Brian?
What's up, Neil? How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. I got nothing to complain about.
I'd like to hear it. I like to hear it.
I guess I could say David Navarro and Rowdy Tellez here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, whatever floats the boat of the people in the comments, man. That's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Air horns. Let's start this thing with a bang, man.
Yeah. If I look like the peak of male athletic performance, then that's fine. Like, I'm good with that.
I mean, if I look like a rock star, I'll take it or whatever.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. Definitely far off the mark, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, just giving a nod to the comments, man. Like, I always love the commenters and the things they say. Sometimes it's, feedback. Sometimes it's their thoughts on the discussion. Yeah. Sometimes it's we look like people we don't look like. And
hey, it's different strokes for different folks. So whatever comments you guys have, we're happy to have them regardless. So.
Yeah, we'll take them. We'll take them. And we definitely, I mean, listen, man, there's someone who on a weekly basis gets on your names and my names and how we
now I'm just doing it to see who's catching it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, at this point, I say them wrong on purpose. You know what I mean? Like I'm having fun with it.
It's now the shtick. If people haven't caught on to that at this point, then we've got other issues. But
exactly, that's exactly how we're moving over here, man. Other than that, week was pretty good for you. Weekend, everything was good.
Everything good, yeah. Lots of good baseball happening, which
your Astros were out there cracking the bats at the very least,
starting to come around. Which we can chat about that down the line. But just really good weekend of baseball again. Good week of baseball. The season's been really great, just kind of across the board. It's been lots of entertaining performances, stud pitchers, very impressive performances at the plate. It doesn't impact a fantasy, but there's a lot of great defensive plays that keep happening. So we don't talk about those enough because obviously we are a fantasy baseball show first, but a lot of leather being flashed out there as well.
Absolutely. And before we get into the meat of the show here, let's remind everybody that we're brought to you by Rival Fantasy, which is the best fantasy all-in-one platform that you can find out there. You can go to rivalfantasy.com. You can download the Rival Fantasy Sports app, whichever is your move. I know some people don't like to use apps. Some people like to use the site. Some people don't use the site. Whatever you're into, we got you covered. You can go on there right now and play fantasy baseball type stuff like bingo, challenges, revamp challenges, which we'll show you later. Best ball, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you going to get all of these things in one stop?
Exactly.
I was actually start playing, folks.
I was actually showing somebody over the weekend the app, someone that just I see on a weekly basis, but they don't know about Rival Fantasy. And I was showing them like, man, I never seen that bingo stuff. I'm like, now you have. They were downloading the app and they were going to get busy, man. So I mean, like I said,
you can see it.
That's the best place to go. Yeah, I mean, so definitely there's also going to be a link in the description if you're watching live, whether you're not watching live, it doesn't matter. The link is in the description now. You can use that link if you've never made a deposit, you've never signed up, you'll get a special bonus. So definitely use that. Don't sign up without that. So you get some free stuff. But we'll look more into the app and the site so you guys can see that later. Don't forget also to subscribe to the show if you're watching and you're not subscribed. We appreciate it, but please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's get this out there. Retweet it, post it wherever you want, show some love, send it to your grandmother, your grandfather. We don't care. Just get it out there. All right. I think it's time, Brian. I think it's time.
Okay.
I think we got everything else covered. Let's get into the rivals of the week, man. Let's get into these bad boys.
Gonna get some names that I didn't think would even be close to this, but we start with the man who is filling in valiantly for Trea Turner, and that would be Bryson Stott. So he now has a starting role for the Phillies, and that equated to a 70-point week last week on Rival Fantasy, which included 4 stolen bases, scored 8 runs, and 8 hits, 2 home runs, 6 ribbies. So pretty nice stat line for a guy, which we talk as we usually do in fantasy points, but that's a great roto and category stat line too. So Bryson Stott had himself a week.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, on a weekly basis, like I like seeing the new names, the fresh names. Like, again, there are players who, we usually throw them in like the honorable mentions or the usual suspects where these guys, we're used to seeing their names. But again, Stott is more of a newer name to people. At least we haven't talked about him on the list. So it's always good to get him on there. And there is another player who's new to the list, and that's Luis Matos.
Man, what a weekend, this kid. So he's 22 years old. He's a former top prospect. But with all the signings, the Giants kind of gave him a logjam. So he's been in AAA. But with Jung Hoo Lee now being on the shelf for the rest of the year, which we will talk about later, Luis Matos made the most of it to the tune of 10 hits, 2 home runs, 16 RBI, and
Just
4.
insane. Just insane.
So, and he had, I believe, a 6 RBI day yesterday and a 5 RBI day on Saturday, I believe. So 11 RBIs across 2 games, which that's a hell of a performance. That was also good for 70 fantasy points on Rebel Fantasy. So, yeah, we'll talk about him in the waiver wire section. Spoiler alert. Yeah, Matos looks like he's here to stay now with all the injuries.
Yeah. The thing I love about fantasy baseball, and I think it kind of separates it, at least from fantasy football, right, is like there's more ways to score.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like both these guys had 70 points, fantasy points, but one had 16 RBIs, the other had, 6.
Yeah.
So it's like he's getting them somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I love that you can get these, I don't want to say them specialized, but like just guys that have, just certain, they don't have to do a certain way to, to perform that way. They can get it in different, angles. So I like that kind of stuff. So fantasy baseball, I think fantasy football is a little more lesser options, right? It's like yards, touchdowns, and some leagues receptions. Like,
and then you're playing like boomer bust, touchdown, no touchdown, right. PPR versus not. Like, I get it, but yeah, here, and that's why we always say, like, I personally, when we talk about these guys, I look at them as options for Roto, for Cats, 4 points. Like, they're doing it in different ways, and that's why we highlight the stat lines,
right?
Because then you can kind of go pick and choose. Okay, this guy, I need steals. He's performing in that category. So if you need a Cats guy, there you go. But that's why we're trying to get guys who do it all for you and are good, just kind of across the board for fantasy baseball.
Right, absolutely. And then sometimes I struggle. Do I want to mention your Astros on here? Do I not want to mention your Astros on here? Which way do I want to go? It depends on the kind of week your Astros are having. I'm like, do I want to bury them further? Do I want to show them a little love? But one of your Astros made the list as one of the top 3 guys on the list, man.
Man, Jake Meyers, aka Jake from Rake Farm. I mean, this is just, he's been on fire of late. 9 hits, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, scored 5 times, and he also swiped a bag. So that was good for 71 points on Rival. But yeah, look, again, I know Homer. I try to avoid talking about the Astros as best I can. But, look, their offense is not the problem. And that's very evident in not only the fantasy production out of the lineup, but just in the box scores. That has not been the issue. So there's plenty of fantasy value to be had, even as they are trying to claw and scrape their way back to contention in that division. So, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but Jake Meyers had a great week. Don't know if he's worth a pickup, just given the way that the outfield is going for the Astros.
Right.
We have to kind of wait and see what they do as Chas McCormick comes back. There's rumors that Jose Abreu might be rejoining the club. So what does that mean for guys like Jake Meyers, like Joey Loperfido, who are having really good weeks, really good stretches? Are they taking the hot bats out of the lineup? John Singleton, another potential detriment for him too. So, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely interesting to keep an eye on. Now we have some honorable mentions. You can get it as much into these as deep as you want, or we could just kind of bypass some of them as we go. But Luke Raley in Seattle.
Yeah, where'd he come from? Good for Luke Raley. Love to see it. Again, another name that just kind of comes out of nowhere. Seattle keeps doing this. They just, next man up this thing. And Raley is a beneficiary.
Yeah. A guy in Cleveland who I think, did you mention him recently?
We talked about him a couple weeks. Well, I actually said you could drop him last week. Because we were talking about Abraham Toro.
Oh, that's right.
Jimenez in a pinch. And I said, like, don't give up on him. But if you're desperate for a win last week, but that kind of backfired because Andres Jimenez, 10 hits, 7 RBIs, scored 6 times this past week. So again, patience, right? Patience is the key. And this is just another example.
Exactly. Kevin Pillar, we spoke about last week, and this is his second week in a row on here. He had his 1,000th career hit. I thought it was pretty cool to see. So again, man, just out of the blue, but it's happening.
A lot of milestones for these. Like, I think there are a lot of like fan favorite players that they never get the recognition. Kevin Pillar is just one of those guys. Like, always been a great defensive center fielder, always hurt. And but now, yeah, he's having a pretty good season with the Angels right now.
Yep. How about your boy Alex Bregman finding his way onto the list?
Power of the headband, man. He started wearing a headband, and all of a sudden he figured out the swing. There was a great thing on MLB Network. He literally pulled off to the side of the road to call in to the show to show like the adjustments he made, which I thought was really cool. It's you know, like where he's putting the end of the bat and stuff. Like nothing we need to get into here, but
right,
Alex Bregman's heating up, which we love. We love to see.
And then another guy who we have talked about a few times on this show. Well, early on, it was about his struggles and he was heating up a little bit. He's back on the list again today. He had 5 RBIs on Sunday.
Yeah.
Alec Bohm, man.
Alec Bohm. We'd love to see it. Yeah, he's just when we think we're out, he sucks us back in. I don't know if there's anyone in this Phillies lineup that isn't going to hit this year. I think the Phillies just kind of feel inevitable. So I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series, but that offense is just prolific.
Right. Yeah, they've been doing great, man.
Yeah.
And then just some of the usual suspects, just the more obvious guys, Aaron Judge, your boy Kyle Tucker. I mean, we got 3 Astros on this list alone on the Rivals. I mean, you guys are smacking, the ball this week.
And again, I'm not trying to bring it up for, being a homer. It's when the lineup does what they did last week, you have to talk about it for fantasy, especially as Bregman was struggling. Kyle Tucker is tied, I think, for the MLB lead in home runs now. So yeah, good to see some production out of a team that was struggling mightily to start.
It's also always interesting to see guys like Judge and Tucker who like get walked more than anybody in baseball. It's like I don't know. And I know Aaron Judge. I mean, I guess Kyle Tucker does too, right? They kind of have low batting averages right now, but they get it done one way or the other, right? They get walked a lot, but they still, make noise.
Yeah, and that's why you have all these new age stats of like, what's OBP versus your batting average, what's your slugging percentage, like all these things starting to come into play now, which is why batting average is not the be all end all, but it's the familiar one that we look at. So yeah, don't ever be shy or, scared off because these guys might have a less than, 290 batting average. They're still
absolutely. All right, cool. So those are a bunch of the hitters that, we felt deserved praise this past week that either, helped us win, helped you win, whatever the case may be. So shout out to those players, but let's move on to the pitchers. The pitchers have some fun ones, man.
Yeah. I mean, we start with 2 absolute flamethrowers, right? So Paul Skenes' second career start last week. I think it was Friday. 6 shutout, no hit innings, 11 strikeouts. I believe he struck out the first 7 Cubs batters that he faced. I mean, look, small sample size. We know like things can change, but it looks like he's as advertised so far. And he's played the same team twice, which has been a weird coincidence just because of the schedule and, interdivision things. But yeah, Paul Skenes as advertised. Wow. If you have him in Dynasty, congratulations. That's you got an ace for the next 10 years probably. But yeah, no, can't say much more. 38.9 fantasy points from 1 start on Rivals this week. So big time Paul Skenes showing up.
Absolutely. And then another guy, like you mentioned, throwing heat, 13 strikeouts, Hunter Greene, man.
Love when a plan comes together. And we're seeing this theme, right? Like the Cincinnati pitching staff does really well, and then their offense lets them down. But yeah, Hunter Greene, phenomenal against the Dodgers yesterday. He had 2 great starts last week, 44.25 points on Rival this week. So I know you could be a little gun shy, and understandably so with Hunter Greene. He has gotten rocked before, but if he can figure it out and he keeps working on the off speed stuff to go with that high heat, he's gonna be good for a long time.
Absolutely. He's another guy that's sometimes popular on challenges and stuff like that. So he's fun to use there as well. And then a much more familiar name, Aaron Nola. Once again, I feel like he's been on this list multiple times.
It's like as soon as this was the first year, I think it's 7 years, he didn't get the opening day nod for the Phillies, right? And it's like as soon as Zach Wheeler became the de facto 1 on that team, Aaron Nola was like, cool, I'm good. I'm just going to keep doing my thing that I've always been capable of with less pressure. So yeah, Aaron Nola had a ridiculous week, 2 wins, 1.5 ERA, 10 strikeouts, 65.6 fantasy points. over the course of this past week. So can't ask for much more than that out of a starting pitcher.
No, yeah, just absolutely balling. Yeah. Some honorable mentions here. You Darvish, staying healthy.
Keep turning back the clock, you Darvish. My goodness, it's again, and it's it's like the anti-Kirk Cousins narrative, right? Yep. When it's prime time, when it's under the lights, like you Darvish is that guy, right? He's the man. So just another, and it was against the Braves, right? So he did it against the Braves last night. Last Sunday it was against the Dodgers. So can't say much more other than wow.
Absolutely. And then two more guys that we have been speaking a lot about, I feel like all season as well. Corbin Burns pulled off another win, 13 strikeouts, keeping that ERA low. That was an impressive one.
Yeah, good to see him get some run support, get a win, because the Orioles, like we said last week, seem to forget how to hit when he's pitching. So, and then another one right now, my favorite for NL Cy Young is Shota Imanaga. Like, he only pitched once last week, but one win, no earned runs, gave up one walk, 7 strikeouts. So not only was it good for 26.75 fantasy points, but it's enthralling to watch him throw the ball. He's one of those exciting pitchers, man.
Yes. It's just
he's making the Cubs were already an interesting team to watch, but they are now becoming must-see baseball when he's around.
And then just one more name I want to make sure you get to, Jose Soriano.
Yeah.
Positive for the Angels.
Another positive for the Angels. And we are, another spoiler alert, going to talk about him in the waivers section. But I think Jose Soriano he's been a very pleasant surprise. I believe he was originally slated to be a long relief guy before the season started, has converted to a starter, and it has paid dividends for the Angels every time he's out there.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Those are all of our hitters and pitchers for Rivals of the Week. Let's give them a round of applause. Show them some love. It's only right. It's only right. We got to acknowledge, I kind of look at the Rivals of the Week as kind of like a victory lap of sort for folks, because and a lot of people frown on it, right? Like when you do good, they don't want you talking about, I called it, or I called that guy, or, this guy was in my lineup. They don't want to hear about your team. But for me, this is our little, nod to those fantasy players who want to kind of take victory laps and, celebrate what they're doing right. You know what I mean?
Get your flowers. You deserve it. If you make a good call, you should be able to talk about your good calls. So no shame in that game.
Exactly. No shame. This is a brag-free zone. You can do whatever you want. You're welcome to do it, man. You could brag, you could floss, you could do whatever you want, man. This is it. All right. Let's move over to a very important part of the show, which is the news and injuries.
Boy, oh boy.
We got some stuff to cover here.
Have a ton to cover. If you guys had seen our show doc before we chatted this morning, I mean, like the injuries just I mean, it's like a CVS receipt. How long it's getting.
It is. But let's start with something more positive.
Yeah.
We can get to injuries. Let's start with someone that tried to make some Yankee history and did make some Yankee history. Luis Gil.
Luis Gil,
man.
Yeah, is it Luis? I don't know how he pronounces it.
I'm sure it's Luis.
Comments again.
I'm sure it's Luis.
But yeah, so he on Saturday broke the Yankees single game strikeout record for a rookie. So he threw 14 strikeouts over, I believe, 6 innings. But however long he was out there, got the win in 6-1 win over the White Sox. Ironically, the man whose record he broke was Orlando Hernandez, and Orlando Hernandez threw out the first pitch on Saturday. So he was there to watch his own record get broken, which is pretty cool.
El Duque,
baby. Which talk about a blast from the past. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know
what the good old days. Those are the good old days.
Yeah, that was when you love to hate the Yankees, but you couldn't look away because I mean, watching Jeter and Posada and everybody just unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, what more can you say about Luis Gil? What a pleasant surprise he's been. ERA under 2.5. His WHIP is like 1.08, and he's got an 11.39 K to per 9 ratio right now. So obviously that last start helped that ratio go up, but he's still, well over, 1 strikeout per inning on average.
Yeah. And a big part of this, which also makes it cool, is he got the opportunity sort of in a way because of Cole. because Cole's injury. And then I did read up that Cole has like been kind of helping him, almost like an assistant pitching coach or something. Yeah. He's been really helping him, just find little ways to, improve and get better. So it's cool that he's supportive of him, you know what I mean? And he's helping him along. I always like when, veteran players do that, because there are veterans who I'm sure don't want to help at all, because they're like, why would I help my replacement? You know what I mean?
Don't want my spot get taken.
Exactly.
But I think Garrett Cole knows he's not going to lose his spot once he's
that's true.
So it's can't say much more if you have him on your squad. Congratulations. I think he has now entered like must start territory. I think he's kind of matchup proof. I don't really know many teams that I'm going to sit him against in a fantasy capacity.
No, I agree. All right. So shout out to him. And then another guy who people get upset when we talk about him, but we're going to keep talking about him, is Elly, man. He's on a chase right now. We spoke of a record that was broken. Well, this guy's on a chase to break a record.
There is the potential we could have 100 steal season. He has to keep going at a very torrid pace. But yeah, Elly is on pace for roughly around 100 steals, which would be the first triple digit steal guy, I believe, since 87 is what I saw. Something like that, right? But like Ricky Henderson, it was, he has the record from 1982, and I believe we got another triple digit guy in the 80s. So that said, it's really a question of how does Elly optimize his base running and his steal attempts to try and hit this mark. So he's at an 85.7% success rate. So that means almost 86% of the time when he attempts a steal, it converts on it essentially, which is 10 points roughly above like what you consider to be a very successful base stealer at 75%. So yeah, man, I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah.
With this guy, I don't know if we've seen anything like him since, the Ricky Hendersons of the world. He's just he's a completely different beast of an athlete.
Yeah. And I think it kind of puts it in perspective. I was looking at MLB.com. There's an article up right now about this, race that he's at, trying to get these 100 stolen bases. And it says from 2018 to 2022, no player even managed a 50 steal season.
Yep.
And then Marlins John Birdie was the only MLB player to steal more than 35 bases in 2022, finishing with 41. And it says two things have kind of happened that kind of help contribute to this. The MLB stepped in, with a suite of rule changes ahead of the 2023 season. So they feel like those helped. But also, this is the league's current wave of young, ultra athletic, talent, beginning to take advantage, it says. So, I mean, that's what we talk about with all these fun shortstops, all these ultra athletic guys that are, now capable of doing this kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool that, we're kind of getting into maybe an era of players who could do this again. You know what I
mean? I hope we are. And I think we're kind of correcting from the juice ball era that we had over the, the last half decade or so of everything was about launch angle and hitting home runs and like, how do you optimize the distance you get out of your swing? And now it's turning into, okay, you can also worry about hitting line drives, hitting balls to the gap, hitting balls down the line, which it's always been that way, but that has now become, we've recorrected, kind of come back to the mean of it's okay to get on base. It's okay to hit singles and doubles and then make something happen after that. Right. So small ball is not dead. I will die on that hill. It is not dying. It will never die. And Elly is an example of that. That base running is back, and it's very exciting to watch. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, no, and again, baseball needs everything it can. It's exciting like this, and that's why some people go, "Hey, bring the steroids back. I want to see the home runs. Like it was fun." You know what I mean? So like,
honestly, if behind the scenes footage of guys juicing up, I'd be fine. Like, hey, like, yeah, this is my steroid regime. Like this is what I do every week when I take my steroids. Like, cool, dude. If whatever, if we're hitting 500-foot home runs as a result, sign me up. That's fine.
Speaking of it, we got it. No, I'm just kidding. All right, listen. Now you mentioned the injuries. You wanted to depress us with all this horrible news.
Yeah.
So let's get to the injuries. We can run through these however you want. So I'm gonna let you take the wheel in terms of if you want to go through all of them, how long you want to spend on each one. Like it's totally up to you. But let's start with, I guess, the biggest one, right?
So we'll start with the big ones. So like we talked about Trea Turner at the top. Just a reminder. Going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. He was placed on the IL on May 4th. I don't know if we really talked about it in too much detail. wanted to bring it back up again with the Bryson Stott thing. So just know
Right.
Trea Turner is not going to be back for a while. So just plan accordingly. I also say that because shortstop is a very thin position as far as waiver wire is concerned. So you're probably piecemealing that together if you are having to recover from that.
Absolutely.
The other big one, Jung Hoo Lee, was announced last week. Just that one glistening tear falls right down the cheek. So Jung Hoo Lee is going to be out for the rest of the year. Tore his labrum on that vicious collision into the wall, which again, as we talked about, opened up playing time for Luis Matos. So there's some good to be found there.
Silver linings.
Exactly. But hopefully Lee will be back fully healthy next year. It's a torn labrum, like I said. So I believe it's on his glove hands. I'm hoping it won't be, it won't impede him going into spring training next year.
Yeah.
Austin Riley still missing games. I believe this is like 6 or 7 days since he pulled his side. He felt some strain like in the oblique area last week. They're playing a doubleheader right now. Game 1 is, I believe, in the 7th inning or so as of this recording. Did not start this game. Hopefully he's back by Wednesday, maybe tomorrow if we're lucky, but just something to monitor. Austin Riley might do an IL stint. Don't know if they can retroactive it as far back as the original date because of how long he's been on the shelf, but something to monitor for him. And then last 2 big ones, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, both expected to be back on Tuesday. So great for the Cubs. That they've had some issues. Their middle infield depth was pretty rough with both of these guys shelved. So keep an eye on it. Make sure that Dansby doesn't re-aggravate the knee. I feel like Dansby's more at risk than Horner is to go back on the IL.
Right.
Stephen Kwan on track to be back in about 2 weeks. I think he's starting his rehab assignment this week. And then Adolis Garcia, he had an MRI on his forearm after he collided with Marcus Semien on Saturday. Came back negative, came back clean, so he should be back in the lineup tomorrow for the Rangers. So crisis averted there with Adolis Garcia.
One of my favorite best ball people I draft all the time.
He's always good for power, and
so
something to monitor too. If you just see how he swings the bat coming off of a forearm injury, it could affect his grip, could affect a little bit of the torque he is able to create in that swing. So something to monitor there. And then quick hits, we'll go through it really quick. Chase DeLauder did not have surgery on his foot, so could be late season call up for the Guardians. And then Cody Bradford for the Rangers, having a lot of issues recovering from his rib fracture. Don't expect him back anytime soon. So their rotation is going to have to make other plans. Keaton Wynn for the Giants went to the IL with a forearm strain. Sounds like concern is minimal, but something to keep an eye on. Devin Williams, some relief pitcher help, is on track. He started playing catch this weekend, which is great to see. He has a fracture in his back. So hopefully he'll be back by or before the All-Star break. And then you have guys returning this week, which would be Blake Snell and Ryan Pepio. Pepio should be rostered everywhere, but just see. But they should both be starting this week as well.
Right.
So
nice. I always like some returning pitchers, man.
Yeah, we like it. And then and another returner, Joe Musgrove, likely pitching tomorrow in Cincinnati. So temper expectations, but I think with Cincinnati, you can fire him up with a lot of confidence.
Nice. All right, so that's a good rundown of the injuries, man. I think you covered them pretty quickly. That's good stuff.
I try.
Some other random headlines that we got going on here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna dump on Sixto Sanchez for a minute. I was reading an article today, and his ERA in the first inning is 19.8. 19.8 ERA in the first inning.
Ouch.
Every inning after that, which I believe he's pitched 14 innings outside of the first, his ERA is like 1.88. So for whatever reason, Sixto Sanchez comes out of the bullpen from his pregame warmup and just loses it. The train completely falls off the rails, and then he figures out how to bring it back in the second inning on.
Maybe he has some kind of anxiety or something, Brian. Come on, man.
No, look, I'm not dumping on him to be mean. It's just a crazy stat. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that before. So it's like, maybe this is a world where the opener comes back for the Marlins. If Sixto is slated to start, maybe they have someone else go 2 innings. And then if you bring in Sixto in the 3rd inning, nothing can go wrong. So
that would be funny if that actually worked out that way.
It would. I mean, at this point, the Marlins seem like they're down to try anything. So you might as well give it a shot.
Not a bad idea, Brian. Not a bad idea. So we got some trade targets. We're already talking about trade targets, man. The Braves, if somebody's available, they may be interested.
Yeah, so the Rays are 3rd in the division right now, I believe. Tampa Bay Rays are 3rd in the AL East. But apparently the Braves have already started targeting Zach Eflin for the deadline. So assuming he is available, which I don't think would surprise anybody given the Rays not loving big contracts and not loving paying big money for their pitchers, just historically. So yeah, we might, if he's available, it sounds like the Braves are going to aggressively pursue Zach Eflin. So that would be another case of the rich get richer because they hit on Reynaldo Lopez coming over. And I know they're still trying to fill the gap of Spencer Strider. Obviously you can't replace him. Zach Eflin would be a pretty nice consolation prize though. So,
yeah. Not too bad.
We'll see what happens there.
Not too bad.
Yeah, man.
Always like some good baseball trades. All right. The Astros, man, this outfield.
Yeah. So something to monitor because we brought up Jake Meyers too. So Chas McCormick is slated to be back probably as early as tonight. So that now creates a logjam of obviously Kyle Tucker is the right fielder. You're not benching Kyle Tucker.
Right.
But you have Joey Loperfido, you have Jake Meyers, you have Chas McCormick, and then you have Mauricio Dubon, who all those guys have been hitting really well. So it's now just a question of, is Yordan Alvarez going to be the DH every day? So that way some of these guys can get at bats, and then they get into the conundrum of their DH catcher tandem as well. So something to monitor purely from a roster perspective of, the Astros have a pretty stacked roster of guys who, when they are performing, they do a good job. So something to just keep in mind of, does McCormick play every day? Is Myers playing every day? Does one of these guys get traded for an arm at the deadline? That's something to keep in mind with an offense like this as you're trying to find diamonds in the rough.
Absolutely. And then one more thing, you have another interesting stat here. You're full of jokes today, man.
Saw it on Twitter or on X and thought people would enjoy it. So the Red Sox have been struggling lately, but they're 7-0 on Sundays. So, I mean, correlation, not causation, but the Red Sox love playing on Sunday. So you could probably put them down to at least cover the spread or, put them on the money line for their Sunday games moving forward. So
I got to remember that when I'm, setting up challenges.
Yeah.
Stuff like
It's
that.
whoever, and, like I said, that offense has been rough of late, but they figure it out when they're playing day games on the weekend, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. So I think we hit all the news and the injuries and people coming back and everything that we wanted to hit there. So we will jump over into our waiver wire here in a second. I will just say, if you are dropping comments, questions, anything like that, we will get to it as soon as we're done with waiver wire, because a lot of your questions might be answered also in our waiver wire conversation. So if it does help your conversation, great. If not, like I said, we'll get to your questions after we finish on the waiver wire stuff. So let's go ahead, Brian. Let's go ahead and jump into our waiver wire segment.
Waivers. Yep. Best time of the week is waiver wire time. So we'll start. We're going kind of deep this week. A lot of these guys might be a little lesser known, a little lesser rostered, depending on where you're playing. But, starting it off with a guy who has multi-position eligibility is Joey Ortiz from the Brewers. So it seems like we have a ton of Brewers on here, every week. We talked about Tyler Black a lot, and he's now down. But Joey Ortiz was one of the pieces that the Brewers got in return for the Corbin Burns deal. So he's now seemingly playing just about every day. Which has been very good for them. He is batting .292, 15 RBIs, scored 16 times so far. His ratios are really good, and he's striking out roughly around 16%, which is good for a young guy like Ortiz, who, this is really his first shot at everyday playing time. So yeah, he's batting near the bottom of the order, but he is getting on. He is scoring. And I believe his walk rate is around 12 to 13% as well. So he's getting on base. He's doing what he needs to do to be a performer in that lineup. And I think, again, given the state of the waiver wire right now, now we're getting to that point in the season. You got to really dig deep for some of these guys. But I think Joey Ortiz is a great option for middle or corner infield. And I like him, especially in Cats and in Roto.
Right. Yeah, definitely good. We always like, this flexibility at the positions, man. So
yeah.
I noticed a lot of times when we were doing these waivers, a lot of the guys have a lot of multiple positions. So our next guy does too, which is David Fry, and an interesting case too.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So David Fry plays for the Guardians. He has catcher eligibility, but he's not playing catcher every day. So he has played, I don't even know if this is all encompassing, but he's played left field, first base, third base, catcher, and DH this season. So he has position eligibility on most platforms at catcher, first base, and outfield. So maybe he even gets third base eligibility at some point. But getting the production from a catcher spot when a guy is not playing catcher is a nice little hack, right? It's like the Taysom Hill scenario in fantasy football, right? Like if he does play quarterback, you're getting him in the tight end position. So, you get a lot of these crazy stats.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's hitting 325, 14 RBIs. He scored 17 times. He's even swiped a couple of bags, right? So I like him purely for the position eligibility. He's got pop. He can, he's getting on base. So definitely, if you need help, especially at the catcher position, if you missed out on the William Contrerases of the world, if you needed somebody because he seems to sit every 3 or 4 days, David Fry is a nice multi-position guy to grab off the wire.
Yeah, I was looking at the News Herald. There was an article they wrote up there, and it said, "So where is Fry's true home, if you will?"
Yeah,
and it says, "In truth, he probably doesn't have one. He's been behind the plate 11 games. Both Naylor and Hedges have been, more action there, of course. 7 games at first, 8 games in left field, which is the regular positions of Naylor and Stephen Kwan, respectively. So it says, what a bonus for the Guardians to have someone like Fry step in and play left field, when Kwan's out or wherever someone's injured, wherever he could fill in, So it's nice to have a player like that for sure. And in fantasy, it's all that much better for the rest of us.
Exactly. And again, there's the potential that when Kwan comes back, he's not playing every day. He goes back to a bench guy. But I mean, I'll take the lottery ticket on somebody like this, especially in a deep league where you need flexibility on your roster. You could do way worse than David Fry.
Absolutely. Next guy on the list is a guy we have spoken about already today, and we said that it's injury fill-in, injury replacement. He's definitely made his worth felt very quickly, and that's Luis Matos.
Yep. So we already talked about it. Rival of the week for good reason. He may have already gotten swiped up based on his weekend performance, which would not shock me. But if he is available in your league, I think he's the top priority this week for sure, especially if you need outfield help. Matos is showing why he was a top prospect, and he hasn't walked yet, but he hasn't struck out either, which is a really weird stat. It's a small sample size, and obviously that'll change, but he is very aggressive when he is hitting, right? So he's making contact. He's putting the ball in play, and I believe his BABIP is reflective of that. I believe it's a little bit higher than the average. I don't know it off the top of my head, but he's getting some good breaks when he puts stuff in his in play. So grab Matos wherever you can if you have the ability to drop somebody to do it.
Yeah, hopefully he can stay healthy. Like we can't.
Yes, yeah, please. Yeah, the Giants cannot handle any more injuries to that outfield. My goodness,
yeah, they're getting beat up out there, man.
Getting crushed.
Some honorable mentions at hitter. Listen, Ahmed has made the list.
Had to get your boy in there, man.
Ahmed has made the list, man. What are we talking about here?
We're talking about JD Martinez, man. We love JD. DH eligibility is really all he's got right now, but he's hitting 315. Only 9 RBIs, 2 homers so far. But you watch him, it feels like the power is coming back slowly but surely. So if you need DH or you need a utility guy, love us some JD Martinez moving forward too.
Absolutely, not mad at it. A couple of other guys here on your list. You stop me when you want to mention something about somebody. We got Davis Schneider.
Yep, Toronto, love him.
Brenton Doyle,
great stash.
Brenton Doyle, Colorado.
Value to be found in the Rockies lineup, and you get the Coors Field bump. He's been very good, very under the radar guy. So don't let him pass you by if you need the help.
Yeah, Eddie Rosario, who we spoke about last week as well.
Yep,
he's back on our list.
Yep.
And Garrett Cooper for Boston.
Yeah, so Cooper is one. He's interesting with Casas on the 60-day IL with the rib issue. It feels like Cooper's probably their best, infielder outside of Rafael Devers right now, which, he's hitting the ball. And I think, first base is kind of that weird nebulous position in fantasy where sometimes you want power, sometimes you need guys who hit for average. He's going to do a little bit of everything, and he's a good stopgap because he's going to probably play most, if not every day in this lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just some prospects really quick, some quick hitting prospects. Now, we've mentioned these guys, most of them, right? I believe the last couple of weeks. So we're still waiting on some things to, change for these guys' situations. But the guy whose name just, I don't know at this point if the viewers are just messing with us or what, because again, we gotta, you said the name wrong. It's Caminero. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
So just
what if we just call him Caminero?
I'm just gonna start calling him El Caballo Loco. Like I'm just gonna start pulling out a bunch of C sounding names and just call
that works.
Senior Camaro, the third Caminero, right? But so Junior Caminero, I don't know what else he has to do in AAA to get called up. Everything I'm reading from the beat reporters in Tampa are basically saying that Isaac Paredes is probably the best player on the Rays right now. He's hitting well. And then they have Brandon Lowe, but they've tried, apparently in the minors, they've tried moving Caminero to second. They tried, moving him to different positions. It didn't go very well. He's a below average defender at shortstop and second. So he has to play third pretty much until he gets more reps at the big league level elsewhere. So I don't know what the heck he's got to do to get called up, but stash him if you got the bench spot. It's a matter of when, not if, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll happen in due time, man. Yeah. Due time. Next guy on the list, James Wood, who was actually the minor league player of the week in the International League. This guy had five home runs, 12 RBIs. Come on, man. May 6th, 12th, just lighting it up.
What's
going on here?
So all I can guess from what I've read from the DC beat is they're waiting for Lane Thomas to come back. I believe Joey Gallo came back this weekend. It sounds like they're just waiting to maybe move one of their outfield pieces to try to get some value before they bring Wood up. I think that's dumb. I think James Wood needs to be getting reps at the big league level because he's like a cornerstone for this team moving forward. So the Nationals should bring up James Wood yesterday and let him play and see what happens. It's even if it's another Jackson Holiday situation, like who cares? Let's see it live, right? Like I think it's better for them to see what he's got now. So he's a priority stash for me as well.
Right, absolutely. And then was there any updates on Dominguez or Martinez? I know we spoke about them last week as well.
Yeah. Or Elvis Martinez, he struggled this last week, so he's been striking out a lot more than he had been to start the year. So promotion might not be imminent now, but given how much Toronto has struggled offensively, you never know, right? He could come up and be the everyday second baseman for all we know. So keep an eye, but he's got to get the strikeouts down before he comes up. And then Jason Dominguez, he's in single A right now, started his 20-day window for the rehab assignment. I have a strong suspicion he will end up at AAA once that 20 days are up because the Yankees don't really need him right now, like we talked about last week. So he has started his rehab assignment. Keep an eye on him, see how he does, see how the elbow reacts to swinging the bat.
Absolutely. All right, cool. So those are the hitter prospects that we're trying to keep an eye on. And you guys let us know, as always, with any of these segments that we're doing, any of these topics we're discussing, drop your thoughts in the comments if you think we're missing players, if you have, thoughts on the players we're talking about, whatever it is, whether you just want to correct how we pronounce their name, whatever it is, drop it in the comments. Again, no comment goes unresponded to. We respond to everything in there. So drop your thoughts in the comments. And again, we're going to go through the waiver wire pitchers really quick, and then we'll get to any questions you guys have in the chat. Whether there's 1 or 1,000, we'll get to them. All right, pitchers. First one, Alek Manoa.
Yep, I'm doing it. I'm saying it. Look, guys, I'm not saying he's back. I'm not saying he's Alek Manoa of 2 or 3 years ago when he finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting. Okay. I am saying this purely from a streaming perspective this week. He looked very good against Tampa Bay on Sunday. And then the next couple matchups are the White Sox and the Tigers. So 2 lineups that are struggling right now. And it looked like he had a lot more break and command on his sinker than he has in the last couple of times he's been out there. So if he has figured out the command in any capacity, he's worth a look. The Blue Jays are going to keep giving him a shot. They've invested too much time and money and publicity into Alek Manoa to not give him another go. So again, this, like I said, this is a little bit of like the deep league stuff. If you got the chutzpah to do it, I think Alek Manoa is going to be fine for you over the next couple of starts.
Yeah, if you guys remember, like Manoa was the guy who like crapped on Cole and all this kind of stuff, and then just so the jokes were flying for sure.
Yeah, the fastball and the mouth stopped playing up, and we saw the downfall pretty quick.
Yeah,
cliff, and he drove directly off of it.
The next player on the list, we talked about him in Rivals of the Week, but Jose Soriano, again, the Angels pitcher, crushing, man.
So love him, especially in like Roto Cats. Big fan. So he's not gonna like overpower you. He's done okay in points leagues. Like he's not getting negative points or anything like that. But 11 Ks across 13 innings pitched, right? So he's last week. So, like not a big strikeout guy. He's not overpowering anybody, but his last 2 starts were against the Cardinals and the Rangers. He had a 0.69 ERA, very nice, and a 0.92 whip rate. So he's sub 1 on a lot of these counting stats that are going to be pertinent to your leagues. So I think he should absolutely be more widely rostered, and he's a great guy just across the board. He's a back of the bench guy, deep league guy. You hold him 10, 12 team leagues, you can stream him, I think, pretty comfortably.
Absolutely. And it's funny because you have a Brewer here as a pitcher as well, which we had a hitter on the waivers for the Brewers, and now we got a pitcher, Joe Ross.
Yeah, we're sticking with it. It's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, they lost 2 or 3 to the Astros this weekend, but the Brewers are still a good team. So yeah, Joe Ross. Again, this is one of those like grittier options. It's not as flashy, but he's very much, in my opinion, a ratios guy. So a accounting stats guy more than he is a points guy. So his last 3 starts, 3.38 ERA, which is respectable, certainly. Opponent batting average of 186, right? And the whip is 0.88. So he's not, it seems like a lot of the damage is coming on the long ball more than it is, he's not giving up a ton of hits. He's not giving up a ton of walks. He's getting a couple of really good hits off of him. So, and Joe Ross is that dude. He's been around forever. I think he's been in the league for like 10 years. And
I was going to say he's like 31. So he's not one of these like young prospects everyone wants to hear about. He's an older guy, if you will, older.
Older by MLB standards, right? He's like a year older than me, but okay. So, but like he's not going to be flashy. He's not going to get you a ton of points, but I like him, especially because he's also a 2-start guy this week. So he's pitching tonight, and then he's likely slated to pitch on Sunday. So yeah, I think Joe Ross, you could do a lot worse. And then tonight, the main reason that we're talking about him right now, he gets the Marlins tonight. So it's a pretty good matchup for streaming pitchers and for your DFS slates. So you could do much worse than Mr. Joe Ross.
Listen, don't mention the Marlins to me right now. I got PTSD for my Mets and Marlins the last few games. I mean, I know the Mets won the last game, but before that, they gave them like 10 runs one game. They got blanked out 8-0 next game. So
The
I'm
fish
still
just
scarred.
decide to show up when it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it
Pretty
was a
much.
division game, I guess, which is why they did it, but you never know with them. But I'm still going to target them for most of my streaming pitchers and my DFS pitchers because yikes.
Absolutely. You have some honorable mentions for us? Some guys you want to run through?
Yep. So talked about a few of these guys over the last few weeks. Dean Kremer, again, also I believe a 2-star guy this week. Ben Lively for the Guardians, been a pleasant surprise. Javier Assad for the Cubs. Stop sleeping on him. He was I almost put him in instead of Joe Ross, but talked about him enough. Get Javier Assad on your teams. And then Eric Fetty and Andrew Heaney, kind of your deep streamers. Not great situations, but they have to go out there and eat some innings for these teams. And then again, just mentioning Ryan Pepio in case he was dropped while he was on the IL for whatever reason. Just see if he fell through the cracks because he should be rostered everywhere.
Yeah, for those over anxious owners who just can't help themselves from panicking and dropping players too quick.
Don't panic.
I always like a good stash, man. A good stash. Any guys that we should be thinking about?
Yep. So mentioned him earlier. Devin Williams, closer for the Brewers. They've tried a lot. They've tried McGill. They've tried Piamps, and then they've tried Abner Uribe. We're kind of seeing them all cycle through. So I think Devin Williams will take the closer spot back pretty quickly. So stash him if you have the flexibility. And then someone to keep an eye on it. Old reliable Clayton Kershaw. He and I believe it was Bobby Miller this weekend. Both threw off the mound, through some sim games. So we might see Clayton Kershaw back before the All-Star break, maybe. But you could do a lot worse than if you need some starting pitching. He'll be fine. He's Clayton Kershaw. When he's on, he's on.
Right. Yeah, it's not one of those guys you got to worry about.
No.
And then before we always jump out of the waivers, 2-start pitchers, my favorites. Let's talk about some of them.
So we're gonna run through these guys real quick. The article will be up later today. Bradley boys, stand up. Taj Bradley, we got him tonight.
Hey, let's go, Bradley boys.
So another one, scary matchups, but I'm still running him out there until further notice. Dylan Cease, he has the Braves and the Yankees this week. Don't care. He's still Dylan Cease. It doesn't matter. Framber Valdez versus the Angels, and then versus Oakland. That's nice. Those are two very nice matchups. So Framber might be like my top 2-star pitcher this week behind Taj Bradley, of course. Then last few, Clark Schmidt for the Yankees, Joe Ross, Mitchell Parker for the Nationals, and then Javier Assad, I believe, is also a 2-star pitcher this week for the Cubs.
Gotcha. All right, there you have it, man. Those are our pitcher waiver wires, our hitter waiver wire must adds, and then of course some prospects, some 2-star pitchers, a little bit of everything, Brian.
Yeah,
now, as promised, we'll get to some questions here in the chat before we jump into some rival fantasy. So let's just see what the chat has popping right now. We'll pull them up on the screen. The first one, M. Perez didn't get Matos this time, but got Raley. Okay.
Hey, fine consolation prize. Yeah, Raley's been great. So
absolutely.
And look, Matos still going to be a little volatile. We don't know exactly how he's going to end up. So, nothing wrong with that.
It happens. And Perez also said, can't figure out the Rays decisions, but it is still smart to hold on John DeLuca. He's been pretty good when he plays, but he starts for a couple of games and sits for a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, that's the rub with the Rays in general, right? They've always been this team where you don't know who's going to play when. Caminero, right? Like same issue. So I would hold Johnny DeLuca for the time being. I think, cream rises to the top. And if it trends this way, if the Rays are completely out of contention, or they are struggling to be in contention by the time the deadline rolls around, you could see pieces get moved to where DeLuca gets a starting role, whether it's on the Rays or elsewhere. So, I would still hold him for now.
Yeah. I mean, he's out there helping them win games too. So yeah, I would hold as well, man.
And he's got steals upside too, which is hard to get at this point in the season off the waivers. So
gotcha.
don't look that don't look past that.
Absolutely. Also, a reminder, once we get done with these questions, we'll go into the rival games. And during the rival games, you guys can also ask questions too, so don't feel shy. We'll answer them there as well while we're doing other stuff. Teddy J, need a reliever next week. Would you drop Alec or Luzardo?
Man, that's tough. I I don't know. Maybe Luzardo purely because of the situation in general. I think he's a little bit easier to let go of. Like, the Red Sox pitching staff has been really good. And you're still looking at both of these offenses having issues scoring, right? So you're not necessarily playing for wins with these guys. But Houck has lost, I believe, his last 3 starts, even though he's only given up, I think, no more than 3 earned runs. So I'm not going to give up on Tanner Houck. I think if you have to cut one of those, I would cut Luzardo.
Yeah, Luzardo, just a reminder, is one of the guys who cooked him at the other day.
And look, I wouldn't get rid of any of them. To me,
yeah,
I punt relievers a lot of the time. A lot of times I'll just leave a relief pitcher spot like blank if I have to keep better starting pitchers on my team. So
that makes sense. And then Teddy also said, I can ask 1,000 questions. I have 14 teams. My questions,
you are a glutton for punishment, Teddy. That's a lot of fantasy baseball.
Yeah, we talk about how hard it is to manage fantasy baseball teams, and to go in there and have 14 of them, Teddy, is
I've got 4. I think I've got 4 full season teams, and even that, I'm just like, this is crazy. So
yeah, he said his questions are usually centered around his big money leagues, but
naturally,
14, man, sheesh.
We're here to help.
That's crazy. And to have big money leagues and still have 14 teams like that, somewhere that aren't big money, it's like, I feel like you'll get lazy on them. Like,
yeah, they fall by the wayside.
Yeah. All right. So shout out to the questions. We appreciate you guys for those. Again, if you guys continue to have questions, feedback, thoughts on what we're talking about, join the discussion. Just drop it in the comments. I will always bring it up and talk about it, and we'll discuss it. So don't be shy about it. Be a part of the conversation with us. All right. So we got through most of that. Let's get through to our challenges.
Yeah.
Let's get to challenges, which we're excited about because
this is kind of the first public unveiling of the new and improved challenges, which formal announcement, emails, all of that's going out later this week for the people. But yeah, check out this new interface.
Let me blow it up a little bit.
Yeah, give that the full screen treatment, man.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go here. There we go. All right. So as you guys are, if you're a new viewer, you don't know what we're talking about unless you've been playing Rival Fantasy. But if you've been playing Rival Fantasy, you know that this looks much different than what you're accustomed to seeing here on the show or when you're playing. Normally you would just see one challenge and you'd have to keep skipping through to find what you want, and that's how you would play. Now it's a totally revamped system, Brian. Now it's, you can go through the different categories, MLB, NBA, whatever it is. You got the top. This is like the hot challenges that are going on right now, challenges that have bets placed on them. So they're all right here in front of you. It'll actually show you if one was created, who it was created by. You can actually click into it. You can see who is betting. Like, look at all this craziness, man. So like you can see everything that's going on with the challenge as well. So I mean, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface here, Brian. Like, what's going on here?
It's a beautiful thing. It's very, very much, we're combining player props with fantasy matchups, right? It's everything that you're already, think of it as like when you're trying to figure out who to start. These are like start sit decisions that if you're more confident in the other one, you get to go and call your shot on these. So, but yeah, we have 1 versus 1, which is the classic challenges. There's also duos, aka 2v2.
Which you can switch over here to it. Like if you prefer 2 versus 2s, you could just look at 2 versus 2s. If you prefer 1 versus 1s, you can get the 2 versus 2s out of there. Or if you just don't care, you're like, hey, whatever's interested in me, you can go to all and you'll see everything, that's out here. And again, you could jump around from the different sports if you prefer, and even the games, like they're broken down by freaking games over here, man.
Yeah.
The NBA, obviously none's in here right now. There's no games because of the playoffs. Teams just advanced, and so we're waiting, for that to happen. But I mean, this is absolutely awesome. I love also that you see like created by like Buttfumble Sports. Shout out to Buttfumble. You'll see like who created it, which is a lot of fun if it was a created challenge. If it wasn't, then again, it'll just look like this. The system generated it, and you could join into whatever you want. But I think it's awesome, and that doesn't even count the part where you can create your own, Brian. Which this is a little gem, right? Like you have the 1 versus 1s and the 2 versus 2, which everyone's like, yeah, cool, that's freaking amazing. I had to put some people on. I was like, you can actually get crazy if you want, and do multiple odd crazy stuff, like 1 guy on one side, 3 on the other. Like these things are possible, man. Like These weren't possible before, Brian.
And this is the beautiful thing now is this is where you put, you think one team's lineup is better. You want to go this team's 3, 4, 5 guys versus this team's 2, 3 guy. Like, you can do a ton of different matchups. You can do the starting pitchers for, the first 3 games versus the starting 3 pitchers for the night games, right? Like,
right.
You could do whatever you want. And then, like you said, lopsided ones. You can do 2v3. You can do 3v5. However you want to. I mean, I don't know if I would take a 3v5 personally, depending on which side you're giving me. But there are tons of ways now to use challenges. And the beautiful thing is if you create a 1v1, 2v2, it shows up in the lobby now. So there's no more ambiguity of who created this, where did it go, how am I sharing this with everybody. But then if you want to make a custom challenge that is private, you have that ability to do it as well. So challenges is now new, improved. 2.0 is sexier than we ever could have imagined, and we're super pumped to be showing this to you guys and getting in on some challenges with you.
Yeah, no, it doesn't get better than this, man. Like, this is just awesome. And I like that we see who's playing now, man. Like, I think this just adds another fun layer to it. It makes it more social. You know what I mean? So I love that. Also, Teddy said,
you also know.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
no, I was gonna say Teddy said thanks to us, and he also get a money line on here. Not sure.
Oh man, fantasy only. This is fantasy sports. We ain't no sports book.
Yeah, it's just what we always say, man, which is fun. It's different. Is like you're not going against the house and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're going against other people. Like,
pure versus pure all the time.
We love that factor. That's what we hyper focus on, and so that's what we love to do, and so that's why it's fun seeing the names and, like I said, making it more social and stuff.
Definitely.
What were you gonna say?
Dude, I forgot.
Okay,
I lost it already. I just got so excited about not having a money line, but yeah, man, just get in on challenges. I think what I was going to say too, Neil, is the fact that you do get to see everybody, and you get to see when it's a system generated versus when another user created it. So that way you're going to see your stuff immediately in the lobbies as well when you guys are making challenges. So get in there and get in on it.
Absolutely. And they said super chats. Super chats are on YouTube. I'm not sure if he wants us to have super chats, but I mean, we'd love to have super chats. we will
get there.
We'll get there. We're working towards it, man. We're working towards it, Teddy. We appreciate that, though. Help us get there, man. Send some people our way. But we will get there very soon for you, man. Don't worry. We appreciate it. Oh, look, see. Oh, man, I love this. The top just shuffled because people put some bets on.
I'm in here behind the scenes, like putting some bets in. Like, you guys are going to see my name in there.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I guess maybe it was you or maybe it was somebody else, but like things shuffled around towards the top that were, just.
Well, I definitely put $5 on Fromber because that's a no-brainer to me. So you guys will see several Fromber challenges made by me today for sure.
So should we jump on some of these, or should we just create some private ones and drop them in the chat and on social?
I think we start making our own. I say let's get in on this. So.
Let's create a couple like $5 ones just for some fun. We'll do MLB, and then what do you want to do? 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2.
I've got a very spicy one coming out of the gate, and I don't know if it's in the lobby or not, but I think Taj Bradley versus Fromber Valdez, my top 2 pitchers today.
You want to make this difficult on yourself?
I do. I'm going to put myself in quite the pickle.
I think you're going to go against Taj, man, which is...
I am. Spoiler alert. I'm going to pick so if you want to take the Taj side, Neil, and then send this to me, I will definitely take the Fromber side.
You're a horrible person, man.
I know. I'm putting you in a pickle. Quite the predicament here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's create this one. I will bet on the Taj Bradley side, just so I don't have to, battle against your Fromber. I'll put 5, and I will put it in the chat. We'll give them a chance, and then if they don't, Brian, I fully expect you to accept it.
And also, guys, keep in mind too, even when it is now, if it's like you can take either side, right? So now, if you guys want to take Fromber, you want to take Taj. Doesn't matter. You get the opportunity to do both now. So we've reconfigured challenges to fit that mold too.
Absolutely. I dropped that one in the chat. Oh, also Teddy said later live broadcast. Everybody's working right now. Okay. Yeah. If you think that if we do later ones as well, that it's worth it. We could do that. I mean, we're gonna keep this one at 2 just because it's our normal time at this point, but we could do other ones. I mean, we'll have more shows also like football, basketball, that kind of stuff. So those may be ones that we push to later. But either way, I was thinking about doing some what you call it, Brian, rookie drafts, mock drafts, and stuff, and more rival content, live later in the night. So that's definitely something we can consider, man, for sure.
It's coming. Yeah. And maybe we'll throw up a poll and see if when people like to watch their baseball content. The reason we do it at this time of day is try to get in before all the Monday games start, try to get in before the week starts. So you got the full 7 days to adjust your lineups accordingly. But the Braves went and threw that for a loop since they had a noon Eastern start time for their doubleheader today.
Damn Braves! I knew I didn't like those guys. It has nothing to do with me being a Mets fan.
We hate them.
All right, let's do one more of these, and then we'll jump over to bingo. Did you have one more in mind already, or no?
You know what, man? I'm kind of thinking like a 2v2. So I'm thinking maybe we do Yamamoto, and then we get Shohei on one side.
Okay.
And then I'm also thinking we get some Marcus Stroman and Juan Soto.
Okay, hold on. You said I got Shohei and I got Yamamoto.
So then on the second side we got Stroman pitching for the Yankees tonight.
And who else?
And then let's get some Juan Soto in there. So let's get some
Yankees
versus some Dodgers. Throw it back.
Nice.
I kind of like the Yankee side on this one.
And I think you'll definitely get entertained on that, man. If you did that.
Yeah, I think so. It's a tough one, and I it's not a big disparity, but I think the Yankees side there's some value to be had on this sort of challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'll drop that in the chat. Teddy said, "Have a great day, guys." You as well, Teddy.
Thanks,
Thank you for joining the show. We appreciate you as well. Let me drop this one in the chat. I'll put Yankees versus Dodgers. I don't want to type all the players' names out. You guys get the point.
And see, this is the fun part now is you can mix and match hitters, pitchers.
Yeah,
that's however you want to do it.
Game changer, baby. I love it. I love it. All right, cool. So we're good with the challenges. We just wanted to make sure that we, explain the new system going on. You guys can jump in here. You guys can see there's lots of activity going on. So get in there, have fun. We hope to see your names pop up on there. You guys will know if we're in there because you'll see Clock Dodgers, you'll see BK Oldham. But again, you'll see us all in the mix for sure. Let's jump over into let's do some bingo, Brian.
Bingo.
Let's do some
bingo.
Let's do some bingo bango. Let's get it.
If you haven't played bingo, what are you doing?
You're slipping. You're slipping if you're not doing it.
Get in on this, y'all. Get in on this.
Again, the only place you're going to find it, rivalfantasy.com, Rival Fantasy Sports app. If you haven't signed up, you haven't deposited, use the link in the bio. If you have, just get on there and let's keep playing. All right.
Let's do it.
We can mix it up. We could use players we've talked about. We could do some new names. It's up to you, man. Whatever you're feeling.
So I mean, there's a lot of great pitchers today. It's a very interesting day. So I'm thinking we go kind of zig where everyone else is going to zag, right? Pick the guys that aren't obvious.
Okay.
Guys like Mitchell Parker, guys like Ben Lively. I think there's value to be had from Sonny Gray against Baltimore today. So those guys are kind of who I'm targeting because they could go either way, right? If they get you negative bingo achievements, that's okay because they got blown up and you won as a result. And if they do great, then they had great performances and you called it right. So
absolutely,
that's kind of where I'm going today.
Absolutely. All right, for our infielders, do you want to still go the less obvious route or go a little more obvious with some infielders?
I'm curious, who are you feeling? As far as
who am I feeling?
Because
who am I feeling?
People are sick of hearing me yap about my bingo lineups, man.
Who am I feeling? I mean, there's a bunch of different guys I like that I tend to gravitate towards at this point. But I mean, I don't know. We can go with a hot player, right? We can go with Devers, been pretty hot.
Oh yeah, Devers. What is that? Like 5 straight games that he's hit a home run or something.
Yeah, but he's going against Taj. I want to bet against my boy. I mean,
do you want to hedge? And look, one player does not a bad start.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that's one I'll throw in there.
And I really like Jeremy Pena. He has
Pena?
been on fire lately. So,
Jeremy.
Am
I spelling the name wrong? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's we can't do the
oh yeah, that's why. Because of the
squiggle.
end. The squiggle, that's true. All right. Some outfielders. Let's get some outfielders in the mix.
Shane outfield isn't very deep this year, right? So yeah, I think this might be where we go Matos.
Okay.
Kind of put our money where our mouth is.
Let me just type his name in.
Mr. Matos. He's probably going to be at the bottom.
Oh
wait, are the Giants playing today? Let me check.
They might not be,
because I think they are off today, so never mind.
Yeah, they are.
So that's my bad. But no, maybe like a Lars Nootbaar. He was on the short list to make our waiver wires this week. Just didn't want to overload you guys with outfielders. So,
oh, okay.
Mr. Lars.
There he is. All right. And then we need one more.
And then the Yankee hater in me doesn't want to do it, but Verdugo has been pretty nice lately. He had, he's doing everything they needed him to do when they traded for him. So I like a little Alex Verdugo.
Okay, today. So let's go with Verdugo then. Oops, I typed nerd. All right, there we go. And then we have 2 utility spots to fill, so we don't have to go one way or the other here.
Yeah. So
we have our DHs open as well,
which is nice. Given they're playing a doubleheader, I think second game, I think Marcelo Ozuna is always a shoe in for a utility spot if we're in the mood for a power play.
Did you see Ohtani hit his first walk-off for the Dodgers?
I did, and it was very nice to see Ohtani. I mean, he always does it, man. It's ridiculous. it's ridiculous. And then I think we could go a couple different ways here. We could, do David Fry, get a little catcher action here.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to keep riding the hot hand with Gunnar, because Gunnar is inevitable. He is the Thanos of the MLB. Can't be stopped. There's this is the issue with bingos. There's just too many guys to choose from, right?
Let's go Fry.
I like Fry though. I think
playing the Mets. Good. He's playing Meagle. Meagle's gonna get him some runs, man.
Yeah, probably get rocked today.
Yeah, so we'll put him in there. All right, cool. So that's our roster. We'll do 5, and we will submit it. All right, cool.
There it is,
all
man.
Right, so we got it locked in, bro. All right, so we got our challenges locked in. We showed off the new system. We got our bingo card locked in. We showed off that fire card, man. It doesn't get better than that. Might as well jump into some best ball.
Best ball.
There's no better way to finish it. I gotta overdo your
no, you should. It's the mouth horn is not the same. Just as a reminder, because again, the Braves had to go and ruin everything. Daily drafts are now for Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Yep. So just keep that in mind when you get in there, because again, when these double headers happen, it throws everything off. So
yeah, which is why none are need to be filled right now, because they just rolled over, and so they knocked everybody off. So you want to do? Let's do a 5.
Yeah, let's do the $5 Tuesday.
Okay,
let's do this.
$5 Tuesday. Get in there.
So now this is a lot of these guys are also slated to be probable to start guys this week. So guys like Joe Ryan, Brian Wu, Christian Javier, Kyle Bradish. So Javier Assad is starting tomorrow as well. You say Kikuchi, Garrett Crochet. So a lot of interesting pitchers that are starting on Tuesday as well.
There is. Assad's going against the Braves, so that's could go either way.
Yeah, which on one hand it's hard to play someone against the Braves, but also the Braves have shown some cracks in the lineup, as we saw last night. Yu Darvish took them for a ride. So, again, don't be scared in these dailies. Like sometimes you have to go for upside, right? You have to got to risk it to get the biscuit.
Yeah.
Don't know if Assad is better than a lot of these other pitching options tomorrow, but that doesn't mean you don't go for it.
Right. And I mean, there's a good matchup like Clark Schmidt, obviously, right? 5-1, but he's going against Brian Wu, who's also, can deal some gas. So like there's some fun matchups to look at in terms of which way you want to, take the approach here for pitchers.
Yep. And then you get Logan Webb, going against the Pirates. Pirates have kind of tapered off from
You
their
got your boy Javier going against the Angels.
Yeah, and I benched him last week against the Athletics, and I regretted that because he had just an unbelievable game. But yeah, no, Javier's got a good matchup against the Angels for sure. And then, like you said, I mean, Kyle Bradish against the Cardinals, that's a nice matchup. Bradish has just had some bad luck. He's had high pitch counts in his last few starts. So you could do a lot worse than Kyle Bradish as well.
Man, when so many good options, it's very tough to decide which one pitcher you want, man.
Yeah, we have so many available players, and when you're doing a 2-team draft, you have to get creative so that way you don't.
And I don't know if this is just like the fan in me or what, but I cannot understand why the Mets keep pitching Adrian Hauser. It's driving me nuts at this point.
I feel like Hauser's one of those dudes who just like people love him in the clubhouse, and that's why he sticks around. It's like he's better. He's obviously good enough to have been in the MLB, but like, it's hard to watch.
This dude is getting like rocked on every he has got over almost an 8 ERA at this point, and like they just keep putting him out there. It's like, what is happening?
It's the Patrick Corbin effect, right? Like, you just got to get guys out there that are eating innings for you sometimes. And
they traded for him. Obviously, the GM probably likes him or something, has a little thing for him. It's just like, come on, man.
Whatever that means, like look, some of these guys just had bad luck. And it seems like Adrian Hauser is this year's. Patrick Corbin is this year's Patrick Corbin, but
right,
he's every year's Patrick Corbin. But yeah, similar situation.
It's driving me nuts, man. That's what I will say. So he is going to get rocked tomorrow.
And good news, tomorrow, all games start at 6 p.m. Eastern are the earliest start times. So you don't have to worry about the rollover for the best ball draft tomorrow.
Nice. That is nice.
We like that. We like that a lot.
Yeah, we're not mad at it at all.
28 seconds. If anybody says, "Oh, I don't have enough time to get into a draft," if 5 minutes is not enough time for you to load up your app or that's on you.
Yeah, turn your notifications, set up a queue, do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, get that queue locked and loaded.
No excuses. We don't have excuses here, man. All right, here we go, man.
3 seconds. I got the first pick. Man. So I'm just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to say that again and again, but I'm going to take the man, the myth, the legend, Elly.
Okay.
Take him at number 1. Put my money where my mouth is.
Not mad.
Oh.
I'm going to get my pitcher.
Get a pitcher. Ooh, Ranger. We don't talk about Ranger Suarez enough either.
We don't.
My goodness. What a season he's having.
And then the other guy I'm going to go with, again, I just mentioned Hauser is going to get housed. He's going to get smashed on. And who better than a guy who I think has been playing really well, has a good chance at a home run? I'll take Ramirez.
I like the J-Ram pick. I like it a lot. So now I got to go back to back here. Yeah, I'm going to pick a guy he's been a stud all year, and he gets to go play the Mariners this week. So I'll take Juan Soto as my first outfielder. And then again, I'm not gonna bet against him. I'm gonna take Gunnar and finish out my infield spot.
All right, I see what you're doing, man. I see what you're taking the big dogs. I'm gonna go like just guys who have been the hot hands recently. Try my odds at that. Let's see. All right, let's go with this guy. Oh, I'm in the wrong position. That would help. It's not working.
Who are you going with?
He's not showing up.
Who are you trying to find?
He's not showing up for me. Hold on. Let's try this again. All right, he's not showing up. Tucker.
Were you trying to take Sal for Alec?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. It's weird that he's not showing up.
Let me try spelling his name one more time here. I'll go to utility and try it. Oh, he's not showing up.
He's not showing up for me either. Weird. So we'll have to look into on the back end.
Yeah, that's a weird one. All right, that's okay, because if I'll avoid him, I'll see if his teammate's on here. All right, we'll take him.
Okay. All right. I see what you're doing. Little Joey Ortiz action. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick a guy, two teams that, not very good, but there's always value to be found in those matchups. So Brenton Doyle will be my first outfielder, or my second outfielder. And then, now we get into, okay, do I take my pitcher? Do I take some of these like deeper guys? I think for my utility, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with David Fry at my
Okay.
utility spot.
Okay. I see what you're up to.
And hope he plays tomorrow because we don't have lineups out. So I'm taking
That's
a big
true.
risk with that. So
That is true. I've been trying to go match up on this one. I'm going like matchup heavy just to go against pitchers that I don't like, I think are going to get beat up on. So I've been trying to play it that way.
yeah.
But let's mix it up a little bit now for myself. Actually, do I want to try that? Do I want to go down that road? I think I might just go Shohei.
Okay.
All right. So now I need an outfielder. Last spot to fill. I need an outfielder. Do I want to go that route or no? I got a guy in the back of my mind, but I'm not sure if I actually want to go there.
Okay. Who is? I can't pick him. So
no. Actually, I kind of do want a Met to go against Carrasco, former Met as well.
Just for that.
But I'm trying to think, do I really want to go a Met outfielder right now?
Yeah, they're a little thin in the outfield.
They are. Might go Nimmo maybe.
If he stays healthy.
If he stays healthy is the question. Let's take the risk.
All right, he's going for it. So now I have to pick my pitcher at the end. I feel gross picking two Yankees in the same draft. But I'm going to take Clark Schmidt tomorrow.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it feels gross. But here we are.
Disgusting, man.
It's gross. It's gross.
You're a disgusting person.
I know.
So, all right. So I got Ramirez, Ortiz, Tucker, and Immo, Ohtani, and Suarez. Yep. And my boy Brian here.
I got Elly De La Cruz, Gunnar, Juan Soto, Brenton Doyle, David Fry, and then Clark Schmidt is pitching for me.
Yeah. I like what we did here, man. Yeah. We mixed it up today. I tried to play matchups heavy. I tried to, go with some guys who are hot, the hot hands right now.
Yep.
I feel like, off the back of Ranger, I feel pretty confident.
Rangers, he's a good cornerstone for a daily team. And I think we're projected within like a point of each other. So I think it's going to come down to the wire on this matchup.
I'm excited. We should start showing our matchups the next week.
Yeah, I think if we just do so many drafts, it's hard to
I forget
which one was last, which one we did on the live. But
I'll try to remember this one. I'll try to remember it.
That. We'll go back and I'll try to figure out what our record is against each other and see what happens.
Absolutely.
If I'm losing, then I'm probably not going to say anything. But if I'm winning, I'll definitely bring it up.
I'm going to try to remember today. And we did this, and then I want to pull it up next week. I'll try to remember. Yeah. All right. So listen, we covered everything, man. We did our rivals of the week. We did news and injuries. We did the waivers, which, a lot of people love the waivers, man. We did the waivers. We did rival fantasy. We showed the new challenge system, which we're super excited about. That's really all we had to cover, man. Like, we hope that if you're watching right now, if you've made it this far into the episode and you're not subscribed, I can't understand it. But I'm going to ask you again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like this episode. Let the world know. Let YouTube's algorithm know this episode is what it's all about. You can find Brian on the app, BK Oldham. You can find me, Clock Dodgers. You can find Rival Fantasy Social on X, Instagram, TikTok, all those good places. You can follow us there. We have some different content for you, up-to-date news, all the latest things going on, a little behind the scenes of what's happening. Maybe you'll see challenges on there that you want to join, all kinds of stuff. So go follow us on there. Again, in the description is the link for a special offer if you haven't signed up or made a deposit yet. But if you have, just get on Rival Fantasy right now, rivalfantasy.com, or download the app. Brian, is there anything you want to leave the people with, man?
Go play challenges. Let us know what you think. Your feedback is always appreciated. And just enjoy this excellent week of baseball upcoming, and excited to do this again next week.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for me. I'm Neil. He is Brian, and we are out.